Hey, it's Thursday, 2:11 in the p.m. So it's time for the hottest show in Clayton County. All things Clayton right here on the MIXX106radio.com. Normally hosted by the stellar, the gorgeous, the brilliant one. Commissioner Felicia Warner had to be away today, so she sent in her friend, none other than Morrow's own, the young gun, Renee Knight. How are you doing this night?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic today. I am so thankful for this opportunity to stand in the gap for Commissioner Warner. It's some big shoes to fill, but I will do my best today. We've got a great show lined up for all things Clayton. I do want to introduce my wingman, my co-host, my right hand for today, Warren Thomas.
We got Warren in the building.
Hello.
Yes.
We got Warren in the building.
Yes, let me tell you about Warren. Warren is the general manager of the Morrow Center, one of our jewels in the city of Morrow. And today's topic, we're doing like a business connections forum. I wanted to spotlight some bright stories that are going on in Clayton County with regard to businesses. We've got the pandemic. We know we're not going to dig too deep into that. We're all living it every day. But I wanted to bring to the forefront some stories of business owners, entrepreneurs that they're just changing the game, really. They're adapting, they're flexible, and they are redelivering services to stay open during this difficult time. And I just wanted to provide an opportunity to bring a couple of business owners in, talk to them, get their stories, and any resources or insight or inspiration during a time like this. We need inspiration during a time like this.
Absolutely.
That's going to be the focus today. So business connections, I'm so excited about our first guest. My gosh. Snoop Dillard.
We got Snoop in the building.
Yes. Okay. So
Nobody promotes like Snoop.
Right. I'm gonna put her name out there first, but then I'm gonna run down the list of all the accolades and accomplishments. We are so proud to have Escobar South in Morrow. And Snoop is the co-owner of Escobar South, one of our prominent businesses. Make sure that you check them out on social media, all of their platforms. But Snoop is a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
So during times like this, these are the kind of folks you want to talk to. They've got it down. They're successful. So we brought Snoop in. She's going to run down a few things for us today. But I did want to highlight some of the businesses. In addition to Escobar, both locations, she's owner of Remedy Salon Suites, downtown Atlanta, members only lounge. Just to name a few, but you have an extensive list and experience with businesses. Just give us a little bit of insight into your journey on the beginning side of entrepreneurship, and then we'll get to where we are today.
Sure, absolutely. First and foremost, thanks for having me. Definitely a pleasure to be here. So just a little bit about myself. As she said, my name is Snoop. My website is WhoIsSnoop.com. It has my full story on there and kind of how I got to where I am now. But I've owned and operated over 12 different businesses. Some, of course, in the beginning were not as successful. And I think the failures are the things that, we really learn from. Because a lot of times when you're successful, and things are good and the money is rolling in, we don't really stop to evaluate. So when you kind of down on your luck and, on your back is when a lot of times people, look at the things that didn't go well and try to learn from those things. And so that's something that I really was big on doing, in my earlier years. But pretty much I started off, I went to Vanderbilt University at the age of 16, originally from Detroit, Michigan.
Vanderbilt at 16. Very
I went to Vanderbilt at 16, graduated at 20, and like most people, didn't necessarily know exactly what it was that I wanted to do. I came from a background where my father was a whole entire family drug dealers. My mom had a lot of tragedy in her family. Her mother and sister were murdered when she was 14. So it's not like I came from a lifestyle of business owners or anything like that. But I knew that I wanted to be different. I wanted to break the generational curse. So after I graduated, I became a financial advisor, got into real estate, and And being a financial advisor, I had the pleasure of being able to sit down with so many different people, you know, from different walks of life, business owners, attorneys, mailmen, dentists, doctors, things of that nature, and just see, you know, exactly what it was that people made and what they did with their money or lack thereof, to create their financial situation or financial background. And just very super motivated. You know, I always knew that I wanted to be a business owner, just didn't know what avenue I wanted to go into. And I think one of the biggest things is you have to try, you know, you have to start somewhere, you know, and if you can't give up, you know, if you give up, you already know you're not gonna be anything, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, you might as well at least try. And so throughout the years, you know, I've just stayed resilient. I've worked on my character so that I can be somebody that God looks at as deserving of blessings. And I think that that's one of the biggest things too, is making sure that you have the right character to go along with what it is that you're trying to do.
Wow. And one thing I just want to thank you for is sharing the fact that you have failed at businesses, that you tried, that you know, people always see the end result, but very often do you find people that are willing to share those failures and build off those and teach them, look, you can do it too. Try again. Those are lessons we learn as kids, right? If first you don't succeed, try again.
For sure.
And the times like these, you know, stories of adversity, we're all going through a story of adversity.
Definitely.
But we have to cling to the inspiration. And, you know, like I said, to have you here today to share your story is a blessing. We want to make sure that as a community, we support our businesses. We support each other.
Thank you. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. So with the pandemic, we're all clear on what's going on. What changed? I can say in the general sense, we know what changed, but from your perspective, what changed? How fast? And how fast did you respond?
Well, I think everything has changed. You know, life as we know it, you know, has changed. I'm somebody that, you know, as being a business owner, you know, I have to be big on the news and staying, you know, in touch with what's going on. And so as this coronavirus was becoming more and more prevalent in China, you know, around the end of last year, beginning of this year, I had my eye on it, and I definitely didn't think it was going to have the effect on us here in the States, you know, that it had.
No one did.
Yeah.
But, you know, around the beginning of March, it became prevalent that it was going to impact us as well. And I don't think any of the other countries were on lockdown yet, but what really did it, Chicago and LA were the first cities to close their restaurants and their bars. And so when that happened, I was just like, man, we next, you know. And so I remember I kicked it that night, like, oh, we won't be doing this again for a while. But you know, I think the most devastating thing about it for so many business owners specifically, as well as under other individuals that are not business owners that have been drastically impacted. I think one of the things that is so significant about it is that it had an immediate effect, you know. No one really had time to get prepared for this, you know. It was just like
100 miles an hour to
zero.
Absolutely, yep. And we went from operating our business one way to the mayor stepping up on that podium and saying, hey, all restaurants and bars have to be closed by tomorrow. Tonight at midnight is your last night. And so it was definitely surprising. I think that this is a learning lesson for so many people, you know. Number one, to make sure that you're strong financially, you know, you have savings and different things of that nature. Aside from that, to make sure that you diversify your income, you know, to the point that you're not just reliant on certain things. When you're looking at creating businesses, look at some of the businesses that were very strongly impacted, you know, and make sure that those are industries that you want to go into, that you can kind of withstand that. So definitely, you know, it had an immediate, you know, drastic effect on us, myself, as well as all of the, you know, over 175 people that I employ, you know, throughout my company.
So with that being said, being, you know, 100 miles an hour to dead stop in place, zero motion, how did you begin to reframe the thought process of being a small business owner? employing 175 people, just day-to-day operations, all the obligations that you have in owning that successful business, multiple locations, multiple businesses. How did you reframe that mindset to move forward and deliver services differently?
Well, we had to immediately look at our carry-out, our curbside, our takeout program and try to enhance those, make it easier for our customers to be able to order. Some of my businesses, such as Remedy Salon Suites, just had to close altogether. But the restaurants, we at least were able to kind of reposition ourselves in the takeout and curbside market, which allowed us to be able to keep our doors open and still keep a minimal amount of our staff higher. But our sales during that time period, they went down by 90%. So, yep, it was definitely very, very drastic. It was only enough income coming in just for a few of the people that were working, to be able to make it. And we literally went from having it, for example, our Escobar downtown location, which is my busiest location, any given time you can walk in there and there's, 15 to 20 staff members working, and that drastically decreased down to just 3 people a day.
Wow.
So we did file.
Still lucky for that, because some people
absolutely.
absolute zero.
Yeah, I'm not complaining at all, man. We did, we took the liberty of filing unemployment for all of our staff members that are W-2 workers, so they didn't have to do that themselves. We went ahead and did that. And just tried to, because a lot of owners were kind of going through something and wasn't really communicating with their staff during this staff period. We continue to communicate with our staff and just try to keep them, uplifted, during this time period. Because I think as owners, especially me as an owner that have opened up so many businesses, I've been through so much that for me, it wasn't as hard on me, because I'm just like, if I can go through it taking me 2 and 3 years to get a spot open and stuff like that, a couple of months, it's not as devastating, you know what I'm saying? But for some of my staff members that were not as prepared and things of that nature, it was definitely, more of an effect, on them. And so trying to keep them upbeat and things of that nature.
Have you found, as a business owner, the programs that are available to provide assistance, have they really been assisting you in the scope of your business?
For me, yes, they have. Okay, but in order to be assisted, you had to have your paperwork and your ducks in a row. So like if you didn't have your taxes done, if you didn't have your P&L statements, if you didn't have somebody that was doing your payroll that could easily fill those forms out for you, then I can imagine that it was very difficult. But for me, I think in the beginning it was difficult for everybody because they were brand new programs that the government was issuing out, and even they didn't have a lot of the questions to things. But once they kind of got that second round of funding going, I found that not only myself, but some of my other just business associates and counterparts in Atlanta that have businesses as well were able to easily get the funding, that we needed for our businesses.
Now, I did want to mention, I saw a news story, the Urban League of Greater Atlanta. They're an excellent resource for minority-owned businesses. They are currently on their website. If you go to their website, they've got some information about loan forgiveness plans for those payroll protection loans that were provided to businesses. So it's really a matter of having your ducks in a row, having that paperwork, being a good business owner in the sense that your paperwork is together so that you can seize those opportunities. And there are some resources out there. We'll talk a little bit more about those, but everyone has to do their due diligence with regard to keeping themselves afloat.
Absolutely. And I think when you take money, definitely knowing how it can be forgiven or what's going to be those payback terms are extremely important.
I did want to quickly touch upon community support. Being on the city council in Morrow, I've tried to make sure that citizens as well as business owners know about the resources that are available. We've got some information on the website. I'm trying to do programs like this, but also, how has the community reached out to you? And I know for a fact Escobar has reached out to the community with regard to first responders and healthcare workers at Southern Regional.
We haven't had as many people reaching out to us as we have been reaching out to others. We did have a couple of our liquor reps, and then Heinz Law Group, over here on the south side, they did partner with us to help feed some of the first line workers at Regional Medical. We've actually done that twice. We've fed the homeless twice as well from our Escobar downtown location. But I think it could have been a little bit better for us to had different mayors and things like that reach out. The only time they've reached out is, hey, keep your business closed, but not, do y'all need anything? How can we support y'all? None of that.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll come back and speak a little bit more with Snoop.
Now on All Things Clayton, we're with the world famous, the infamous, the gorgeous, the laid back, the sharp dressing, smart, witty, the billionaire herself. Snoop is in the building. Straight billionaire.
Yes, we are very excited. Just the opportunity to talk to someone with the level and depth of experience and know-how, financial planning background, real estate background, serial entrepreneur, how she is navigating through the pandemic and the change in business. We appreciate the thoughts today. But we're going to wrap up your segment and talk a little bit. Warren's got a follow-up question that he wanted to make sure we got in for the
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So anyone that knows Snoop knows about her social media, knows that she's always reaching out, you're always giving, you're always visible. So, and I just think that we're going to think more deeply about how we communicate and collaborate, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. It changes everything. It's changed everything. So how do you think this is going to change how we communicate both as individuals and as collaborators in business?
Well, first of all, since you mentioned social media, definitely got to let y'all know how to follow me. I'm at WhoIsSnoop on social media. As I mentioned, my website, WhoIsSnoop.com, and then courses.whoissnoop.com. So to answer your question, one of the first things that I did during this pandemic is that I started filming a lot of my courses and a lot of the information that I normally meet up face to face and give to people. So I normally do like a lot of one-on-one business consultations, a lot of restaurant consulting. And so, of course, doing this with not being able to sit down directly with people, but still wanting to help individuals, I started filming a lot of the things that I generally talk about in person and putting those online. I think that a lot of that is very necessary. A lot of people saw a lot of jumps in webinars, Zooms, and things of that nature. So it's a good time, yes, to stay plugged in and sharpen up on those skills. Take advantage of all of this knowledge that's online.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. That's great. Yep.
Yeah. I appreciate that you took some time to come out and talk to us while we're highlighting All Things Clayton, some of the bright spots in business in the county, because we want to celebrate those businesses that are really taking it to the next level, because it's going to require that. It's going to require that dynamic, flexible thinking to stay successful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've gotten so much support, from Clayton County with our Escobar South location that's located at 1140 Mount Zion Road. So we truly appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here, and we look forward to continuing to service the community.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's next for Snoop, for you and your brand? I've followed you since I've owned this radio station.
Wow.
And every networking event you've done has been like extremely over the top, meaning you like have an eye, or somebody you got that got an eye for details. So what's the next level for you and the brand?
The next level is to, I'm doing another Remedy Salon Suites actually out here on this side of town. But it's to start trying to franchise things, doing a Dillard Hospitality University, so helping other individuals that look like me to become business owners and like you guys said, sharing that knowledge with other people in the upcoming generations.
Yeah. We greatly appreciate you.
And if you haven't been, to Escobar. That food is just
Y'all come see us, for real.
Check them out.
Happy hour, brunch, all that good stuff.
And that
Dope patio.
What kind of food do they serve? I haven't been.
Everything, pasta, tacos,
fried lobster.
yeah,
cakes.
fried lobster,
Yeah.
crab
Collard green egg
plates,
rolls.
everything.
the whole
Delicious.
business. Yeah.
Deliciousness.
I'm from Maryland, so I had to go in and try that crab cake.
No, I just had
My
some
first
yesterday. I
question.
want to try hers.
Yeah, my first question was from Maryland. What's in
Right,
the crab
right,
cake?
right,
No
right.
filler.
That was
in
the
this
first
crab
question.
cake. That was my first question. A crab
Yeah,
cake
but our
with
menu
filler.
can
Excellent
be
food,
viewed
yeah.
at escobaratlanta.com.
Yeah.
All right, so the crab cakes are like. What
Hey, on point.
Yeah,
Knocking.
they're on point. They're on point.
Knocking.
So you gonna vouch for them?
I'll vouch for the crab cake.
I gotta go by there today.
All right, let me
Can I
know.
get a to-go order out? Because I'm just gonna post it on social media.
Yeah.
If it's good, then everybody
They'll
gonna know
let you
about
know.
Okay.
it. Yeah, because I tried some crab cakes yesterday. They were decent.
I'm gonna be looking for that post.
Yeah, yeah.
They are
Say
good.
that
She be on social.
Say, so Escobar, just tell me where on
Yeah,
Mount
give me
Zion.
address. Yeah.
1140 Mount Zion Road, Morrow, Georgia. So it's right there by Soft Lake Mall, right next to the Chevron gas station.
Correct. And all
Right
the
across from the Morrow
social.
Center.
I know exactly.
Follow them on social media, Instagram, Facebook, a lot of information, the seductive food pics.
Right. What time are they open? What are the hours?
We open at 11 a.m. We close at 1 during the week and at 2:30 on the weekends.
Right, full bar.
Full bar, everything. Full service spot.
So, Mauro trying to do some stuff. Y'all trying to be something up
Just
there.
a little something. Just a little
Something. Hey,
Yeah.
Snoop, listen. Let this be the platform that you come to more than once.
Absolutely.
We want to promote excellence. That's what we do here.
Definitely.
I thank Felicia Warner for having the foresight, to have a show on our platform to tell everybody about businesses like this.
Right.
Glad that you chose the south side of Atlanta, too.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us. Thanks
with
for
a
having
brand
us.
like yours, you could have went anywhere. And to bring it to little old Marlon.
To bring it to
What made you do that? though? I
We
gotta
were
ask that.
excited.
My business partner, 2 Chainz, is from the south side, and we get a lot of people that come to the downtown
mention
location that live on the south side. And so I felt it would be best for that to be our next location.
Yeah.
And we thank you.
The support that Escobar provides to the South Side and the recognition. I was so glad to see that you all serve meals to those working at Southern Regional. Southern Regional is our county hospital. That doesn't get the same level of recognition as Piedmont or Grady or some of the other area hospitals. But I was so excited that it was a passion for 2 Chainz, and it had a special meaning in his heart for him to support those who are working there. And we appreciate all that you all do. We look forward to providing some additional collaboration in the future between the City of Morrow and Escobar when it gets warm, and staying socially distant and safe.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, guys.
I appreciate it.
The restaurant industry is one of the hardest industries that you could possibly be in. This master course, how to open up your own restaurant, gonna be the difference in you opening up in 3 months versus you opening up in 1 year. Head on over to courses.whoissnoop.com. Make sure y'all follow me on Instagram if you aren't already at WhoIsSnoop. And definitely check out my website, www.whoissnoop.com, to get a little bit more information on my background and my story.